New reports out just in anticipation of Trump being booked on his Stormy Daniels related case involving the classified documents scandal. There are actually developments on that. Apparently the Justice Department, as well as investigators with the FBI, have been accruing new evidence that I'm gonna say hints because I think we're supposed to legally, but like you get the idea. It's pretty strong when it comes to obstruction of justice. And I wanna dive into what they found. On top of everything that we already know, we know he did it, we know why he did it, but everybody is supposed to pretend that who's to say? We need to get into his frame of mind, his intent. That's what it's all about. Well, this evidence does get into its intent. So let's jump into what they found. They've gathered what they're calling new and significant evidence that after the subpoena was delivered, one of the early subpoenas to Trump to return the documents that he still had, Trump looked through the contents of some of the boxes of documents in his home, apparently out of a desire to keep certain things in his possession, according to people familiar with the investigation. Investigators now suspect, based on witness statements, security camera footage, and other documentary evidence, and security camera footage being included in there, I think is the most fascinating part, that boxes including classified material were moved from a Mar-a-Lago storage area after the subpoena was served, and that Trump personally examined at least some of the boxes. Now, this makes this, I don't think it should need to be pointed out, incredibly different from other cases involving former White House officials and classified documents. Yes, from a 1,000-mile view, other people, including Mike Pence and Joe Biden, have their classified document scandals. But in none of those other cases is anyone alleged to have been asked to return them, to then go root through the boxes and then start hiding stuff. No one other than Donald Trump is being accused of anything like that. And it has led to these investigators saying that this is evidence that he himself intended to, and he also told others to mislead government officials in early 2022, even before the subpoena, about these documents. And again, any of these individual things by itself isn't necessarily a crime, but if the ridiculous legal hurdle that needs to be overcome is all about intent, him telling people to lie, him getting a subpoena and then hiding materials, I don't know what you need beside that to prove what his intent was. Francesca,
absolutely.
What do you think?
And what's incredible to me about what you just said is that you won't find that kind of clarity about the apples to oranges situation, Pence and Biden's documents versus Donald Trump's documents on places like NPR even, right? Where it's like, as soon as the Biden documents were discovered, it was like, well, everyone does take documents, and who are we to cast stones in glass house? You're like, oh my God, shut up. It's totally different. It's incredibly different. And here you have the proof. So you can no longer say, he can no longer say, and his lawyers can no longer say that, to quote the old Chappelle, I'm sorry, officer, I didn't know I couldn't do that. The height of white privilege, the height of what he probably is going to still try and claim. No, man, he went in there, he started rifling, he probably is on camera picking his, diaper wedgie, and he's moving stuff around. He's wiping his, chicken finger, like chicken wing hands on the outside of the box, all the stuff. And he's moving it to, I don't know, wanna bet, hang on, this all ends with some exhuming of his ex-wife. Like, if I were Trump, you put it with your ex-wife. That's what you do. Guys,
you put the thing that you truly treasure with your ex-wife. You don't care so much about that. You care about the documents. Yeah. I obviously do not think that the odds are very high that they're gonna unearth a coffin and find documents. But if they do, man, none of those right wingers are gonna stumble for even a second in defending that. The president is allowed to stuff coffins full of documents. Everybody does it.
And it's to prove that she died from the vaccine, obviously.
Oh my God. Anyway, here's the crazy thing about this. It's so weird how the news cycle works. We went at least a couple of months with no updates on the documents.
Yes.
And then yesterday I see, this new stuff about obstruction of justice. And I thought, that's interesting. And then, but by the time we produced that, between then and going live, multiple other pieces of information also have come out. Apparently, investigators also have evidence that Trump sought advice from other lawyers and advisors on how he could keep documents after being told by someone on his team that he could not. He's just like desperately hoping that lawyers will tell him what he wants to hear. Like cousin Greg asking for a way to respectfully sue someone. Like you can want it, that don't make it likely. And then on top of that, Brett Baer today reported that multiple Secret Service agents connected to Donald Trump have been subpoenaed and are expected to testify before a DC grand jury, likely this Friday. This is a separate grand jury from the Stormy Daniels one. This is the one on the classified documents. The Secret Service agents are the ones who've been around him in Mar-a-Lago, have seen when these boxes have been moved. They would know all about this. I don't know how much they can be like compelled in this particular way, but they definitely have the information. And maybe they sneak in a couple of questions about January 6th, maybe of the Secret Service member that he was choking in his effort to get to the White House.
God, what a deep, I forgot that you get Secret Service agents after you leave office as president.
Yeah.
What a detail. You know what I mean? What if you were just like, imagine the Armageddon like drawing of straws that you had to go through to be like, please don't, please don't, please don't, please don't, oh God, you know?
No,
and then,
I don't.
No, you don't know. Yeah, no, anyway, the point being, remember, this is also a different grand jury than the Georgia election fraud grand jury. How many grand juries, how many awkward horse girls are we going to see? I love them all. I want more characters out of this.
I want to know, we know roughly how many grand juries, but which will be the grandest of them all?
Yes.
When all is said and done. I don't know. I'm hoping Fulton, but we'll see. We'll see. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.